Hello, everyone. Welcome to class. All right. I see how many people we have. I've already shared the screen. We have 93 people. So we're getting pretty close to everyone being in the class. That's awesome. I hope you are well and safe. I guess this is a safer way of having the class today with this crazy weather. And also because we had the lecture hall that was flooded. So I actually got a message saying that they are not sure if it's going to be fixed even tomorrow. So they're working on it. But I think it will be fixed for next week. All right. So a great challenge of life is knowing enough to think you are right, but not know enough to know that you're wrong. So the more you study, the more you realize that there's a lot more to study. And that's what I think is very exciting about learning and getting to experience a new subject and study new things, and that opens your eyes to the rest of the world, and maybe it allows you to understand better the world and in order to be part of the world. So Neil deGrasse Tyson is a very famous scientist, and he's specialized in things that have to do with the NASA and the space technology and so forth. He does a number of classes, and maybe you know him. And I think this was a very important statement that he oftentimes makes, actually. Um, some good news is the next week we'll have the client coming to class. So it's great that it was not today because that would have been unfortunate. I guess we could have done it through Zoom, but Cathy Kemp will be coming next week to class. So it's important that you will be ready to ask questions. She will be coming with Dominique Cogiola. So you may know already, but Cathy Kemp is the general manager of the Alexander of Oxnard, and she's also the daughter of the owners. And there's quite a number of videos of her and information on the internet. And she seems very exciting and very eager in making her family business be successful. So I thought this is great that she insisted to actually come to class, to be in class in order to see you and meet you and so forth. So that's really wonderful. She seems to be a very nice person. Um, Last week, I was talking to you about the Wells Fargo Center investor pitch competition. And I thought it would be interesting because I just received last Friday an email from a student from the past. It says, "Dear Professor Vigneron, I hope this message finds you well. It's been some time since our paths crossed at CSUN, but the impact of your mentorship during my marketing courses has stayed with me. I wanted to reach out to reconnect and seek your insights on potential teaching assistant opportunities within the business school. Under your mentorship, I had the privilege of winning the first place. So he did participate in the Wells Fargo investor pitch. And like I said, the people who go above and beyond are the ones that mostly succeed. The people that stay and do the minimum standard, it's very difficult to raise above the standard if all you do is the minimum standard. We all have sort of a equal amount of luck. And so if you stay within the standard, you usually achieve the standard or less. Rarely you achieve over the standard. So these students, this was probably four years ago, I think. He was in this class, 2020, and he took the class. He said, okay, let's participate to the Wells Fargo Center event. He participated. He really loved it. Eventually, I think he changed his major to marketing. He won this competition. He came to another class that I had, a consulting class, which is a very exciting class. Usually students take after taking this class. And now he's has a great position. He actually offered to come to class, and he wanted to. I told him, when can you come? And he said, oh, I can't next week because I'm working in Japan. So he's in Japan working for this business and coming back. And he says, but as soon as I come back, I would love to come to speak to the students to let them know about my experience and so forth. So that's something I just wanted to share with you because I'm not making this up. This is the truth, only the truth, but the truth of those students that are actually trying harder for themselves if you try harder for yourself, you usually end up doing more. So I'm grateful that there are 3 students that have already come forward: Matthew Curado, Federico Tribel, and Jennifer Villalpendo. These 3 students came forward and said that they want to participate. So I'm glad. I'm looking for a 4th person that would want to participate in this. And the reason is that if the 4 people decide to actually go through the whole process, then we'll have 4 people competing for the final. But if there's only 3, it's great. But I just know from experience that it's more exciting if there's at least 3. And usually when there's 3, there's 1 person that usually flakes. And so I want to get a 4th as a safety, because it's not easy to speak in public. It's not easy to do something that you do because you want to and requires some, open-mindedness and some dedication, because there's some time to prepare for it. I mean, it's not a tremendous amount of time, but it's something that it's very important that you want to do. So again, I'm opening the door for 1 more person to join. So if you are very interested, I'm looking for this 1 additional person, and then we'll start working on how you speak to an investor. How do you make a presentation? And again, this is something that I started before the Shark Tank, but it looks very much like the Shark Tank. It is very much like the Shark Tank. I will give you my own it's not my business, but it's a hypothetical business. So that way you all have something that is the same, and there's not one more exciting than the other, because you could be winning because you have something more exciting to present. And I want this to be something that is sort of equal across the different people. Yes, Matthew, you have a question?
Yes, Professor, this is a hypothetical pitch, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it's a
Okay,
hypothetical pitch.
cool, cool.
So, I'll give you some PowerPoints, some things to read, then you do your research, and then it's hypothetically pitching as if you have something to sell and you're looking for some money in order to grow your business. And so that way, everyone would have the same hypothetical situation, but everyone sees it from a different perspective. So it's very important to see that when you're presenting, you have to present, everyone has the same amount of time. You have 5 minutes. And so within 5 minutes, what do you say that is better than the other person in order to get this interest? You know, the way it works in real life is nobody gives you money from speaking 5 minutes. But this 5 minutes, what it does is it gives you the opportunity to meet this person again, and maybe again and again and again. And once you've went across a number of steps, then these people are willing to give you some money, because then they are interested, committed, they believe in your story, then they believe in the data that you're supplying, and then they give you some money for within the contract, um, where there is, what do I get for what do I give, and within what time, and what are the information that's confidential, and how do we terminate this relationship if it doesn't work, or even if it works. So that's business, real life business. It's the type of business where you make the most money and you become the most successful, is the one that you try to become bigger. And to become bigger, you do need more collaboration, more money, and more skill in talking to others. So great exercise. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist yet at CSUN, and most universities don't offer a class which turns to be this. This is, I think, the 17th year that I'm doing this. And again, even as a professor, it's kind of strange, because I'm doing this not being paid to do this, but I do this because I think it's important. And that's why I want to do it with the students that also think it's important for them. And again, I was telling you, people think it's important, students think it's important. In fact, it changed students' life. And I didn't know there was someone that was going to write 3 days after saying it changed my life. And I would like to become your teaching assistant in order to go back into academia. And it has happened that I had a student that was just a student in the class, asked me for some help. I helped him with um, a paper, and eventually he went into consulting. Eventually, he reached out to me and asked me to be my TA. Eventually, he became my TA. Eventually, after that, he got a part-time teaching position and then a full-time position, and now he's a full-time professor at CSUN in marketing. So that was one of my students. And so that's his name is Sean Kejani. He's another professor that actually now he teaches this class. And 20 years ago, he was a student in the class. So things happen, and the world, the life can be wonderful, but you have to take all the opportunities and as many as you can, not all of them, but you have to be selective. So if this is an opportunity for you, come forward and we'll make it fun and interesting for all of the people that would participate. Now, going back to the basis, so what is marketing? Marketing is the delivery of customer satisfaction at profit and long term. If there was only one word to define marketing, it would be satisfaction. You're trying to satisfy those customers. And you're doing that by delivering the product that will be the value and the features that they expect. And eventually, because you're good at satisfying these people, it makes sense that you start making some money. And then this profit is reinjected in the business in order to continue serving, satisfying these clients so they keep coming back. And there's a long-term relationship that builds where, in fact, it becomes easier and easier to do marketing because as people are really starting trusting you, liking you, they start telling other people. And then you go into what's called word of mouth marketing, which is the best kind of marketing, which is not done by you, but is done by other people. But that's the result of a long-term focus, dedication to making the right product for the right people. You can't satisfy everyone, so you have to decide who can you satisfy. But who is the person you want to satisfy? You need to know them well, and you need to have a relationship with them, so that way you can learn more of them and become better at satisfying them. So this is something I've repeated. This is the third time pretty much I'm repeating this because it's the foundation, and it's very important that you understand the foundation of marketing and see how much this foundation is essentially the foundation of business. There's no customers, there's no business. There's no happy customers, there's no business. And so you can be in accounting, you need to worry about happy customers. You could be in production, you need to worry about happy customers. If you don't realize that making your customers happy is the most important thing, then you're sort of gonna not be the most efficient. You're not gonna optimize the potential for your business. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the environment. So the environment is where you look for opportunities. So the SWOT analysis, and I just posted in the announcement of Canvas, just examples of the SWOT analysis so you can see them. And you can see that it's very much the same no matter what you do. Here, the example is for a musician, but you could be using this for a company making ketchup, would be the same thing. The concept is you're looking for the SWOT. So we talked about the SWOT, and I'm going to talk again about the SWOT. But where do you find information for the SWOT? How do you build the SWOT? Well, what you do is you look in your environment. And so your environment is made of two layers. The pink layer is called the micro environment, and the yellow layer is called the macro environment. To remember it, I think about the microphone. It's closer to you. And the micro environment is the closest one. It's the one that directly affects the company versus the macro environment is the one that indirectly affects the company. So the most important of all of these factors first will be the customers. So you have your consumers, you have the businesses, you have the people that buy for the sake of reselling, like a wholesaler, like a retailer, like Amazon will be a reseller. And then you have the government also that buys. You sell it to the government. And then there's the international versus domestic customers. You have different publics in your micro environment. And so the publics are the people that you are using as intermediaries. So again, you use the media, you use maybe banks, you use the people that are helping you within the governments. You are interacting with people such as citizens groups that are trying to protect the environment or something where you live. You have the people that just live by where your business is located. And then you have your employees. So all of these are publics that are looking and watching what you're doing, and you are impacting on them, and they have an opinion and they have rights, and they are impacting on you. The macro environment is indirectly affecting your business. And so they're all very important, and they all have different weights depending on the industry you're in. Some industry, maybe you're working in technology, so therefore the technological and natural have a big impact. Maybe you're selling something that is very expensive, so the economic and demographic is very important. Maybe you're selling something that require a lot of licenses, there's a lot of change in the regulation, therefore the political will have a large impact. So political are all the laws and regulations. Demographics are the fact that there may be more young people, more old people. And so that has an impact. I was reading this morning a report on wine. And so the wine industry is sort of suffering with the fact that the 21 to 35 years old don't drink that much wine. And it seems that they may be unlikely to drink wine as much as the previous generation. So that has an impact. And one of the result of this is the fact that they're making non-alcoholic wine, because a lot of those young people, they see alcohol as something bad for their health. So it's very interesting because they do a lot of other things that are really bad for their health. But for some reason, they see wine to be something really bad that they're avoiding. So it's some changes. Things may change where in 10 years, the 21 to 35 years old are the ones that drink the most wine. So things are not the same and things keep changing. So it's very important to continuously be adaptable. And so that's the element of the culture. The culture, you could look at it as different areas of America would have different habits. Last semester, we did a project for hot dogs. And obviously, hot dogs is something that doesn't work the same in the 50 states. There's some states where they like hot dogs more than other states. There's also the effect of the generations. There's generations that, like I was saying, talking about wine, more interest for a specific consumption. And it evolves, and sometimes you look at those changes as opportunities. So could the macro environment generate threats? Yes, all of these could be threats. If there is a reduction of natural resources or a regulation that makes the price of something go more expensive, if people are losing their job, if people are not finding a job, if people have no savings, if the interest rate go up, if there is inflation, all of these will be economical problems. So the economical problems have impacts pretty much on everything. But it's a bad economy is not something that is universal. A bad economy is oftentimes on a certain group of people. Not everyone suffered from a bad economy. It's a bad economy could be good for some groups and bad for some others. So it's important not to see everything and generalize. And that's the purpose of marketing, is to understand the differences and embrace the differences. If everything was the same, marketing would be very boring. What's exciting is there's lots of changes. So the biggest demographic factors that you look at is the age, the fact that people are married, not married, the fact that there's certain areas with more people from your target, the fact that people are looking at getting more educated, and the fact that there's also some differences in terms of ethnicities. These demographic trends are important, and you can say that there's some overlaps. Obviously, there's going to be overlaps between the age and the cultures, the ethnicity and the cultures, the location and the cultures, and all of these with the fact that they are interested in technology or less interested in technology, and the fact that there is more or less available resources also within the different areas, and that they have more or less a better economic position. So, you know, there's states where you pay less taxes, therefore you can buy more, and there's states where you pay more taxes. So there is many different overlaps. Nothing is sort of clear cut in all of this and totally isolated. There is overlaps between all of these concepts, and so it's important to understand what they are and to see the dynamic of the interaction between the overlaps. So the economic environment is pretty much how much money do they have to spend, left to spend, and that will have an impact on how much they are most likely to buy your product or not. The natural environment is very important as well because, and it's becoming more and more so because we're always talking about new technology, we're talking about being eco-friendly, we're talking about the environment, we're talking about sustainability. And as a business, you try to, one, follow the regulation when it comes to these elements, but you also try to generate savings, protection, improvement for the environment. There's a lot of real and fake improvements, but sometimes the intention at the beginning was good, is to create improvement for the environment. And down the road, when everything gets summarized and added, you realize that the result may have been worse than it used to be. And so you created more damage than what you're trying to replace. So finding the materials, understanding the concept of pollution, and having the government being involved and trying to regulate all of this is as good as one can be, but it's not perfect. And so as a business, you have to be constantly looking for this. So in fact, this morning I was reading about a new law about the concept of CRV. I forgot what CRV means, but it's essentially some kind of recycling that they are working very hard in California, and I think more than any other states, to make people buy or pay a CRV tax every time they buy something. So when you buy a glass bottle, you don't realize, but it's 5 cents that you're paying extra that you didn't pay before. So that generates inflation. But the idea is that people can actually return this bottle and get back this 5 cents. So in fact, essentially, you're not paying for anything because you're helping in the process of recycling this bottle. So plastic, it's less, glass is more, and then big cardboard containers, for some reason, are more than glass. I would have thought they would be less, but that's important because if you are working in the beverage industry, you have to understand those regulations. You have to understand when you need to signal that you are recommending the consumers to do CRV, which is to return the product. You have to see that if there's manufacturing regulation, how you produce this glass or this plastic. There's different plastics that are now allowed to be using in order to make beverages and containers. And so all of this is constantly changing, and the objective is to make it better, but that generates some administrative constraints. So now a question for you. Identify a specific company that has done a good job of reacting to the changes in its environment. Can you think of a company? And if you have a hard time thinking about that, you think about what company do I know that is successful? So I'll use an example from a long time ago. Dell. Dell was a computer company that reacted to the environment because they realized that there was no need to have a retail store, that you could actually use the internet as a store and you could sell online computers. They were not the first one, they were not the only one, but they were the one that really embraced this concept of this new technology of the online retail store for selling computers. Not only that, but what they did is they also made sure that there were many different choices when buying this computer, so people would have a more custom type of selection for the computer they would buy. So instead of saying we have 3 computers, they would say we have 8 computers with many different options that you can add to all these computers, and people would just select the different options, and then they would have a computer made very much to their choice. And so they used the change of the environment, which was the access to the internet, to be selling computers, which was something that was not very much done by anyone. And this company, which started from a garage, became Dell, and now it's it's a multinational, which is maybe not the most successful anymore because adapting is not something that you do one time. That adapting is something that you have to do continuously, and so it is very difficult to be successful one time, but it's even more successful to be continuously successful. Yes, Matthew, go ahead.
Oh,
What's
yeah, I was thinking Amazon as
yes,
being pretty adaptive. Actually, I just saw some products that they offer certain people. It's like a snowmobile is what they call it, I believe, where they take data in like a freight container and they go to a company and they'll upload tons of data and then ship it to the cloud.
yes. So I mean, Amazon is amazing because they do mechanical Turk, for example, when it comes to data. So mechanical Turk is they actually give the opportunity for people to work for them to produce data. And so there may be students in the class who are working for Amazon where they ask you to work for them, 5 minutes here and 10 minutes here and 2 minutes there. They give you like a survey, a very brief task to complete. And then you just complete this task and then you per the number of activities that you did for them, you get 5 cents, and then you get a check at the end of the month of $80 from Amazon for working on the mechanical Turk things that they've created, this cloud of data where people can go in there and spend a few minutes here and a few minutes there. And so that's sort of what you're talking about, I think, Matthew. So Amazon, if we use this example, they've took a lot of advantages because they used also the internet to develop this intermediary business where they allow people to sell in stores and then to be part of the network. Originally, they started by just selling books, um, and then they started selling used books, then new books, then very small gadgets, and they moved in this direction to create this Sears online Sears somehow. That's interesting because now their biggest investment is actually buying physical stores in order to grow into a physical store using again a technology in the store where you would all you need to have is to have your phone and walking into the store, then you can pick up the things, and as you walk out, um, it's fine. It sort of senses all the product that you took and then charge you directly. So Amazon is constantly coming up with new business models which are adapted using the technology, using all of these different opportunities that you can draw from the macro and macro environment. So that's what's very, very important because you could have been the people who 10 years ago would have told Alexander of Oxnard to start selling the car by selling them online using, Carvana type of methods or whatever. And that would have been very new. And so now you have to think about the next generation of adaptation. Yes, Anna, what is your suggestion?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking also Nike for like another big company.
Yes.
I heard that they were like using old shoes or something to make lifting plates now. I don't know if you heard of it, but like
No.
they use their old they've been recycling old products and they've been turning it into like lifting plates.
Lifting plates. What's a lifting plate? I don't
Like
know.
when you go to the gym and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if you
wow.
like yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
saw recently.
Yeah. So they would use
Yeah,
the old
weights.
weights.
LOL,
Yeah. Yeah.
weights.
Yeah. So then what you do is so they would do sort of the rubber that is coated around the weights, I guess, because the shoe, doesn't have a lot of weight. So you probably have the iron, and then you would have the coating around the iron using recycled shoe or something. So yeah, in that situation is what you do is you see something that is used for nothing, and then you will want to use it to make something. And so businesses have to be, or entrepreneurs have to be very good at listening to the environment. I It's funny because it reminds me an example which is not me, but it's my parents in the 70s. They had small jobs, and eventually they had a lot of ambition and they wanted to do better. And then they came up with this idea, so they are in France, to go to the French government, because the French government was the only allowed organization that could be selling cigarettes and produce cigarettes. So if you were buying, I don't know, Marlboro cigarettes, they were produced by the French government under the license of the French factory. And so they were also making the matches. And so my parents went there and they made an investor pitch to some investors before going there, and they got some seed money. They were getting the license from the government. Then they went to see the government and they made a pitch, and they got a license from the government to be able to sell matches for promotional purpose. So what they did is they created like a small match boxes that would say the name of, I don't know, McDonald's. And so then they went to McDonald's and they say, we're making matches and people can have the matches. People smoke a lot in Europe. And so, and you can have the matches that says McDonald's on the box. And when people come to McDonald's, they walk away with your matchbox. And so they had the only license in France to sell those promotional, marketing promotional items that had to have matches inside. And so everyone told them, good luck. And eventually, I mean, they turned this business into a massive business until they started going into even bigger business, because then they started making the machine printing, and they would sell the printing machine, they would sell the boxes, and they would have many different people involved in this business, hundreds of people. And then from this, they started selling it overseas, because overseas there was similar opportunities to be selling matches. Not only they did it for matches, but eventually they put soap in those boxes. So they would sell the soap to the hotel, for example. So the hotel would have their own soap with the name of the hotel on the box. So there were so many other people that wanted to have promotional items that eventually they ended up with a catalog of all kinds of promotional items that they could order. And it was interesting because in the 70s, they eventually said, we need to go to China to be making this for much cheaper. And in the 70s, when they went in China, so that was my parents, you could not just go in China. You had to go to Hong Kong, and then you had to wait for someone from the government of China to come and pick you up, to drive you in China to the factory that you had an appointment. So you didn't fly to Beijing and go everywhere you want. You flew to Hong Kong, you waited 2 days, then they would come with some kind of bus, and they would pick up all in the bus the people that we want to do business with, the Chinese government, and then they would drive you from the various factories and leave you there. And you would just stay inside, and then you would go to a hotel which had no windows even, and you couldn't see through the windows, and you just waited for the next meeting the next day. So that the world has really changed, but making those matches eventually in China was much cheaper. And so opportunities are the favorite word of a business person, because you're looking for something that is changing that you can take advantage of. And so here again, that's your job this semester, is to look for something that is changing that you can take advantage of. Marketing is also talking about the 4 Ps. So the P of product, place, price, and promotion. So we'll look at this. This is something that we're going to focus on after the first quiz. So the first quiz is very much all the fundamentals, the foundation, the core of marketing. And after this, the second quiz is focused on each one of the P. Each one of the P is pretty much 2 sessions. So marketing satisfaction, what else matter? Well, you need to also think about the fact that you do need money, and the more money you have, the more likely you will be successful, but money is not everything. You need to also make sure that you create value. So whatever you sell is perceived as value, which means people are willing to pay for what you're selling because they perceive that it's more worth than the money that they give. If they see that they give $1 and they get $2 in value, then they would want to buy it. But another thing that I think is very important in marketing and in business in general is wanting to work for free. So that's kind of very strange, because most people would say, if you're worth something, you should not be free, but you should be willing to work for free in order to grow your business. And so that's what I believe. But if you don't believe me, I recommend this author called Robert Kiyosaki, which was a gentleman very famous for concept, which turned into books and videos called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki, I would not be surprised that there's 10% of the students that have heard this name in the class. And the reason why there's so many people that have heard this name is because it's probably one of the most followed entrepreneur in the United States. And he's sometimes not a little controversial because he says things that can be irritating for some group of people. But the overall person, I think, is very interesting. So I do recommend that you check. You can check it on YouTube, essentially, and you'll find some interesting videos. Sometimes the video towards the end is trying to sell something. So, you know, he's a business person. But the core messages are very interesting. And so one of the core messages is, are you willing to work for free? Are you willing to work all the time for free? No. But are you willing to do something for not the money, but for the knowledge? Are you willing to do something, but for not for the money, but for the connections that it's going to generate, for the platform that it's going to create for your business? So it's like working for free is okay as long as it's an investment, essentially. So yes, Robert Kiyosaki is all about investments. And so he says you can work for free as long as it's an investment, and you should be okay with that. So again, as a business person, you have this environment that creates opportunity and constraint. You need to make a decision. Where do you look to make decisions and find information? You look again in the environment. So what's the environment? Is the micro and macro. I've just defined it a number of times. When you look into this, you create the document which is called the PEST analysis. P for political, E for economical, S for social, and T for technological. So again, when you write your PEST, you're essentially writing, you could say, could I write cultural? Could I write, in addition, economic? Could I write natural? Yes. So the PEST is what's the most famous, but then you also have the PESTLE, and then the PESTLE will have the other elements. So when you start writing a business report, you will start writing your PESTLE. And to write your PESTLE, you will do the analysis of your environment by discussing the element of the environment and what impact, positive or negative impact that they're having right now. When you write the positive and negative impact of what these things are doing right now, you're writing about the opportunities and threats. So that's why it's external, is you doing your PESTLE. So when I was a student, I didn't understand all of the steps. Why do they make me understand the concept of the environment? Why do they bother me with this PESTLE thing? And eventually, the SWOT, I was like, that's the result of all of this stuff I had to do before. And the answer is yes. You do this research because you're trying to find some changes. So you don't do business and you hope you get lucky. You do business and you get ready to get lucky. And to get ready to get lucky, you need to analyze the situation. And you just don't let the situation sort of control you. Is you try to control as much as you can the understanding of the situation. Oftentimes you can't control the situation. 99% of the time you don't control the situation, but 100% of the time you should at least have some understanding of what is going on. It's like someone who is investing in the stock market in Wall Street. You don't randomly invest. You try to do the best you can in order to identify some conjectures, some situation that are more likely to turn in your favor, right? And so that's what you do in business in general, is you're looking at the PESTLE in order to see some changes that you see as opportunities for the business that you're in or weaknesses for the business you're in. So opportunities is the condition that you can take advantage of. The threats are the condition that will go against your business and make it very difficult. The strengths and weaknesses are internal, is what your business is good at and what it is not so good at. So, Shubhani, so first, do you have any question on this? Normally, I would say, understanding what's S and W and OT, 99% of the people understand what they are. Now, doing the S, the W of Alexander of Oxnard, not going to be difficult. Doing the O of Alexander of Oxnard is extremely difficult. extremely difficult. It's easily 50% of your work this semester. Once you find what they are, then it's okay. But the hardest thing by far for anything you're going to do in your entire life in business, because that's sort of the, you know, the dream idea, the dream concept. So what was Chobani? Chobani is a yogurt company that was started by an individual with not a ton of money, and he made $1 billion revenue after 1 year. So he started with $1, he ended 365 days after making $1 billion. What did he do that was so amazing? What was the opportunity that helped this business go from $1 to $1 billion revenue? Do you remember? Anyone knows?
I don't recall a specific thing, but didn't they kind of market it as the healthy yogurt?
So it turned out to be healthy or healthier, because what they did is they found that a lot of yogurts, this person, I believe, came from Iran, the creator of this, came from Iran, came to America, came to the East Coast, and probably some of you know more than me. I'm not sure. Actually, it would be interesting. That I believe there's enough people from the Middle East that you can answer this question. Do they eat yogurt in Iran?
Yeah, they eat a lot.
Eat a lot of yogurt. So that makes sense. I was guessing that, because if you're someone we eat a lot of yogurt and you come to America, like I'm French, so it's very common. I mean, everyone has heard of Danone. So you come in French and then you take a Danone. Are you satisfied or dissatisfied? You're dissatisfied. Even though, in addition, the most interesting thing is to buy French yogurts in America. They're, for the most part, really bad. And I mean, I eat them in France. They are great. And I come here, the same brand is a disaster. And so the disaster comes from the fact that I don't know why they do that, but it looks like they're totally trying to screw that yogurt in a way where they use a milk that I don't even know if it's a milk, because to turn up with something so bad, you would have to use a milk that's going to be quite horrible. And so this was the observation of the founder of Chobani. When he came here, he says, you have to try very hard to make them as bad as they're making those yogurts. Because to make a good yogurt, all you need is good milk. So healthy milk makes healthy yogurt. That's simple. You know, it's like I imagine him speaking. It's like I'm in Iran. We only have good milk. Therefore, we can not screw up the yogurt, and we only make good yogurts. What's going on here? And so then he looked for cows, and he found a lot of the cows were making bad milk, and he was wondering if there's anyone that makes good milk. So he found some farmers in the north of New York, I recall. And there he went and he told him, I'll buy your milk. Don't do anything to it. It's great. Don't change anything. And with this good, healthy milk, I will be making good, healthy yogurts. And hopefully, I'm not the only person in America that wants good yogurt. So that's what he did. And like I said, it's kind of crazy, because you say, how could this be revolutionary? Good milk makes good yogurt, bad milk makes bad yogurt. Why? The company that have been doing this for the past 50 years in America could not figure this out. Couldn't figure this out. They kept making bad yogurt, and people like me, we were buying them, and we just said, you know what, I guess that's what it is. And so there's many things like this that exist in every country where there's something that's really subpar. And the minute someone comes and makes it better, then you make a better product. And so sometimes the opportunity is, are people really want horrible things? No. But sometimes here's the thing that's quite interesting is assuming that people want the best all the time is not correct. There is some products where being just good enough is good enough. And therefore trying to make it so much better will satisfy a specific group of people, but this specific group of people is so small that it's not as profitable. There's better ways to make a lot of money. So for an investor, you have to think about, am I trying to do the good things for doing the right thing? And a lot of investors don't too much care for the right thing. They care for the return on investment. If the return on investment happen to be a righter thing, they're going to go for it. But the number one thing, I'm not going to be bad, but I'm going to say 99%. 99% of the investors, they care for the right return on investment. and 1% care for the right thing, and maybe something else. But so in that situation, it's pretty common for someone to come up with a good idea, and then it doesn't go anywhere because it was a good idea that people don't care that much. He was, when he created Chobani, lucky that people did care enough for good yogurt made from good milk that the business went from $1 to $1 billion. Now, what about Fiesta Auto Insurance? What did they do? Well, Fiesta Auto Insurance, they just discovered that there's people that are insuring their car, and they happen to be Latino, Hispanics from South America, and they have specific needs. They have different ways of doing things, and they like to speak to people who speak Spanish, and they would rather deal with an insurance company that they can have a discussion in Spanish versus any other languages. So Fiesta Auto Insurance says, fine, that's what we'll do. We'll do specialized insurance for Hispanics, and they became extremely successful by focusing on a specific group of customers. So, so for some reason the name disappeared here, but it's Jesse. Just a second. So Jesse Itzler is an individual who wants to work in the music industry. And he tried to do that, and he was not successful until he ran into someone that was someone that knew the owner of the Knicks best basketball team. And eventually he was able to come up with a song, a theme song, and he created the theme song, and he was able to connect with the owner, and the owner loved the theme song and took the theme song and gave him a few $100s for the theme song. This song became very successful, and he regretted, I suppose, that he didn't charge more for this theme song, but he was not famous. And essentially, he was doing what I was telling you before, sort of working for free, willing to work for free, willing to give songs for free in order to build a portfolio of songs that he was famous for and get recognition. And eventually people don't have to know if you made little or no money or lots of money. You're just someone known for creating songs. So you build that reputation. So at that time, the reputation that or the benefits that he had was that he connected with a lot of famous people, basketball players and so forth. And so he started traveling in first class, VIP. And as he was doing that, he was realizing that there were more and more people that wanted to fly on private jets. So he had this idea of creating his own private jet. So imagine someone who barely can afford the rental of a studio in New York, whose dream is to create his own private jet, luxury private jet. You would think, man, that's beyond a dreamer. This is like a phantasm. You know, it's like it's really a deep dream or something. And so he didn't give up on this idea, and eventually was able to convince a number of investors, you know, doing investor pitch, and get some money. And then he convinced some airline company to let him use some of the jets, and he created Market Jets that became a successful jet company, which he sold to one of the largest private jet company in the world called NetJets for hundreds of millions of dollars. With this money, he didn't know what to do, and he was sort of spending the money and not making as much. He decided that he should exercise, and he also someone that likes sports, so he started running for marathon and training for this. And then he realized, so that was in 2006, that there was no real good water. If you do intense sports, you realize that you need to keep hydration, and those Gatorade and all of this, these are nice gimmicky drinks, but they're not really good for you when it comes to recover. I mean, if you're doing ultra marathon, so I think these are 100-mile run. So these are not 26 miles, but they're 100 miles. They're huge. So the importance of the water is critical. You can't be drinking those mass-produced commercial water and hope it's going to work. So at that time, he did his own study, and he found that drinking coconut water was actually the best water you could find to recover. So then he said, I'm going to create my own coconut brand of water called Zico. And so he created Zico in 2009, and then he sold it for hundreds of millions of dollars again to Coca-Cola in 2012. So what's interesting in business is the people that are not lucky. What's interesting in business is the people that understand the concept of opportunities, and then they become successful serial entrepreneurs, able to repeat success after successes because they adapt to changes by creating real value and innovation. That is very, very, very important. Here's a musician, a group of musicians that came to us, and their band was called Hardcore. And so when we studied them, we found that it was husband and wife. So the two people on the left side are husband and wife, the one holding the guitar and the one holding the harp. Hardcore is very famous because they have no vocals, so there's no singing. It's all instrumental, and the main instrument is the harp. And everyone around the harp is essentially just going with the harp, following the harp. So the main artist is the harp. But who are these people? What's their background? So the husband's name is William Ekwe, and he's very famous for being doing jazz type of music. He's played with top African bands traveling in the world in pretty much every country you can imagine. For 25 years, he's been doing this. Very successful, classic training, and so forth. And he went into learning the bass in order to play with his wife. And so he came to the United States, and he wanted to not be William Ekwe anymore, but Will Diesel, which is this, hard rock bass, a guitar type of music. Now his spouse, Maywen Ekwe, she is actually, she won a number of times best harpist in the world, and she goes from symphony to symphony, from London to Sydney to New York, and she's very much one of the instruments there, and there's maybe 20 or 50 instruments, and she, over the 2 hours of the concerts, she essentially plays 5 minutes, and she just waits for the few 5 minutes of glory where she's going to go just for a few sounds. And so eventually she had enough of this too classical type of music, and she became Gwen May, this harpist using an electric harp, the first individual using an electric harp, and this band was the first band that was centered on the harp when they created it. Now there's a number, because this was done a few years ago, but now there's a number. And in fact, this company has been making harp for hundreds of years, made the first electric harp for her, and it was through her direction that they designed this harp and improved this harp and so forth. So they created this band, and now what's interesting is you have these two people, the very classically trained, sort of more standard people that you would see in concert halls of big towns and so forth, that were mostly in Europe, come to the US and then totally change their outfit, their music, and wondering, what should we do? And so what's interesting again here is the same, is what is the opportunity? Well, the opportunity, so the students started looking for opportunities. This was a case that we did a few years ago with my music MBA students. And we found that, they could probably go work for some show in Vegas and sort of be there a little bit within some sort of circus type of situation. And they would not be the main piece. They would be just a piece on the side or in between. And that's not really something that they want to do, but that's an opportunity because there is a need for something that is different. In fact, they went to America's Got Talent and they were competing in this. They didn't win, but they finished pretty high up and they were very excited. So they have talent, but it's not for everyone because it's only instrumental. And there's a real different style in there. So the students, I have to tell you, were really wondering where is an opportunity. And as they studied the opportunity, they started realizing that there is something growing, and it's called anime, manga anime. And the manga anime people actually are very loyal to certain music style. In fact, there's a lot of instrumental in anime manga. And what they found is that there's nobody really famous in anime manga. and their style of music will be actually very appropriate to anime manga. It would work very well. But you can't tell this to a client because this is so extreme. It has to fit with the client. So they didn't go see the client and say, hey, do you want to do music for anime manga? They asked them, do you know anything about anime manga? And so eventually they say, well, it's kind of funny you ask because we actually are fans of anime manga. And deep inside, in fact, we've always loved it. And what's interesting is the biggest consumers of anime manga are in Japan. That's where it originated. The second biggest consumers are in the United States. And then the third biggest consumers are actually French people. And they happen to be both French. So they have some kind of legitimacy to be in that industry because they're in America doing the music, but at the same time, their background is that they're French. If they wanted to also work in France, they would have some credibility being in the anime manga. And they're actually a big fan of anime manga. And what the students were saying is it's really cool because they do have a look that fits very well with anime manga. So they generated this design that shows them within the anime manga. But to prove the case, even more so, what they did is they took some anime manga. What I mean by some is some image of anime manga, which they used their music to put it on the anime manga. And I will show you this in just a second. So that way you understand what I mean, is they took a anime manga animation, and then they took one of their songs, they have many songs, 100 songs, and they showed how it actually improved the anime manga and it fits so well. So I'm going to show you this live right now. I'm going to share the screen of that very short video. So you can see it. So I hope you understood that the anime manga already existed. In fact, it's copyrighted and we can't use it. And in fact, I'm going to have to delete it in the recording of this Zoom session in order to be able to leave it on Zoom, but on YouTube. However, the concept of using their music with the manga, that's what they are trying to demonstrate to the client. And when the client actually saw this video and saw this presentation, they actually couldn't believe their eyes, and they say, you know what, we never thought that we should be specializing, and our music was actually perfect for the opportunity of the manga industry wanting a certain type of music, which is sort of equal to the type of music that we produce. We never thought of this, and you actually bridge the gap. And since then, that's all they've been doing is working on those manga industry, and they've been traveling around the world, specializing in making music and going to trade show for the manga. As you can see, they even physically are very much appropriate for this industry, and that's what's very, very important. I spend a lot of time on trying to explain to you what's the match between an opportunities and what you do. The ideas turn into an opportunity in what you do, because I've done it many, many, many times. And that's sort of what I think is very important that you understand for this group project that you're working on, and to understand what marketing is really about. And so we did this for Beats. When Beats just started, because of some connection I had, is we worked directly with Beats, and we came up with a country music headphone. And so instead of being the Beats for the hip hop, which had a special bass, we said, oh, there could be a country music. And the reason of the country music is that the country music is one of the most purchased music. Actually, classic music and country music are the most purchased. All the other music, people tend to get them for free. They go to the concerts, they make a lot of money with the concerts, but the artists don't make as much money as they used to from selling the music. So in country music, you still make a lot of money selling it. And the two founders of Beats are Dr. Dre, which is a rapper, but the other person whose name escaped me, but something Lewis, is someone who's very famous within the country, the rock on the country music. So we thought it would be very appropriate for them to go after the two music genre, which are the origin of their artistry, and therefore create a Beats, which was the first one for the hip hop, and then it would be a different Beats, which would be for the country music. They didn't do this. One of the reasons is they were doing a lot of things. Beats went from a small office in Santa Monica with 5 people to essentially the entire building with hundreds of, close to thousands of people in there. And so they are doing so many things, and eventually they sold the brand, and since then the brand has not been the same. I did this for JD Power as well, where in fact 2 of the students I did this with were hired by JD Power right away, and they became a 6-figure income, and the students were thrilled of the opportunity that this generated. So it is very important to understand the SWOT. It is very important to see that the hardest thing are the opportunities. So the opportunities are not what you're going to do. So it's important that in this section, it doesn't say opportunities is what you're going to do. You're not saying what you're going to do. So for example, if I take, going back to hardcore, we didn't tell them the opportunities for you to make music for the manga industry. No, we said the manga industry has grown by 50% in the past 10 years. The manga industry is directly connected to the music industry, yet there are no artists, not many artists that are famous within the manga industry. So in other words, if you're looking at the threats of doing rock and roll is a music genre that is going down. And the people who are doing well in rock and roll are the people that have been in this industry for more than 15, 20 years. The new people are having a hard time. So threats, don't do it. Opportunity, the manga is wide open, and your type of music, which is a strength, is totally connected to the opportunity. And so therefore now saying you should be making music for the manga industry is what you should be doing. And therefore this becomes an idea, and opportunities are not IDs. Opportunities are, so I'm just going to say it a few times for the record. Opportunities are not what you're going to do. Opportunities are not IDs. Opportunities are not what you're going to do. Opportunities are facts, just facts that you take in your micro environment, your macro environment. After you've done your PESOL, after you've done your research, you find some changes that you can take advantage of. And so what's really amazing is finding out this concept of the manga. It was something that was very far. Then the clients never talked about it. So you have to imagine, we also did interviews, 2 interviews, in fact. We're doing 1 interview with the client next Tuesday to come up with questions. And imagine in this interview, they don't say something which is in fact probably the best thing that they should be doing. Well, it's our job to find it. You cannot expect the client to tell you what to do. This is why, as a business person, as a consultant, you're the one who's paid to tell them what to do and tell them why they should be doing this. So opportunities are not what you're going to do. Opportunities to sell more organic chicken. That's wrong. Why is opportunities to sell more organic chicken wrong? Can anyone tell me?
That's a goal.
Yeah, that's a good. That's what you should do. Opportunities are not what you're going to do.
There are no facts.
There's no facts. So then if we look at the next one, which is correct. Opportunity is that people want more organic chicken. So if you're a business, actually, if you're a business, you wake up in the morning and you're a business that does a chicken farm. Do you want to do organic chicken? Like you wake up in the morning, you're a business, do you want to do organic chicken? And that's an easy question, but extremely easy question. Do you want to do organic chicken? You wake up as an industrial mass produce industrial, like mega lots, gigantic mass produce chicken manufacturer. Do you want to do organic chicken?
Of course not.
No, you don't. You want to do a chicken that has no bones. You want to do a chicken that if the head could never come out of the body, it would be great. There's nothing you can do with the head. What a waste. You want to do a chicken that's no bones, that is very heavy, but there's not much. I mean, there's to eat. You don't have to chew very much. You could eat the chicken with a straw. That's what you want to do if you're an industrial. The last thing you want to do is organic chicken. And the worst thing is not even organic, it's certified organic. That's like, forget it. Why am I going to give myself so much trouble? So you don't want to do organic chicken. When are you going to do organic chicken? Therefore.
Because you have an opportunity to make more money.
Yeah, but first is when you see that the customers, that's what they want. And therefore you're going to do it because they want it. And therefore you're going to make some money. But you only do it because they force you. If nobody force, I mean, I sound like a bad person, but I'm just not saying everyone is that way. But 99% of the businesses, they are there to make money. Organic chicken is a pain in the neck. Therefore, that's the last thing you want to do. You want to do the thing that is the easiest to do, that is the cheapest, that you can make more for less. If people come and they want organic chicken, you tell them, go home, don't talk. If they all come back and they all want organic chicken, you say, yes, I've got organic chicken. You have no organic chicken, but you're going to make it organic. But you don't want the government to get involved. When the government start getting involved and say, hey, you've been saying that you've made organic chicken. What do you do to make it organic? I don't know. There is a skylight above the building that makes it organic. Before there was no skylight. Now there's a skylight. No. We, the government, are going to tell you what you need to do. You're going to have this space in the cage. They're going to have to come and run at least 1 hour a day. Oh, the government, pain in the neck. They gave me this organic rule now. It has to be certified. I have to pay someone to come and certify them and observe and tell me this yes, this no. It's a pain in the neck. So the organic chicken gets more expensive because of all the red tape I have to do and all that. I wish I didn't do organic chicken. I wish I just did. I mean, people don't even know what's a chicken. They've never seen a real chicken. How would they know? Right? And so that's what you want to do. But the reality is the customers have made it difficult for you because suddenly they hear about this organic, sustainable, organic, eco-friendly green chicken certified by the super green, super Switzerland bank account. That's what they want. That's what I have to do. So then you just do what they say. So as a business, it's very difficult to tell the customers what they want. They know what they want and they tell you, and then you just react. Sometimes you can be proactive. Proactive is the best way, but most of the time you're reactive. So the reactive is this opportunity. More and more people are asking for chicken, which are organic, and I don't know, what can you invent? And have biotheron. Mine have biotheron. What is biotheron? I don't know, I just made it up. And then you say what it is. Oh, they eat little green seeds that gives them more vitamins, and that's why they're better for people and less cancer or something. And then if people care for less cancer, that's why you say that. Until the government comes and say, oh, you have to make it less cancer, therefore you have to have those rules. So everything that we see, it's always like this. The customer makes the change, or the government makes the change, because remember, if we go back to the microenvironment and macroenvironment, sometimes it's a customer that makes the change, their cultural customer, but sometimes it's the government, political, right? So you go try to satisfy those needs by making sure that you follow the trends. So now, 2 examples. 35% of pools in SoCal are in need of repair, according to the SoCal Pool Bureau. Versus Max could offer an online bidding platform for pool repair. Which one is an opportunity?
The statistic.
The one with the statistic. Yeah, the first one. Because the second one is telling you what to do. Opportunities are not ideas. Opportunities are not telling you what to do. Opportunities are just facts. I know I went to Home Depot on Saturday. At Home Depot on Saturday, by the cash register, there were lots of umbrellas with the S, lots of umbrellas. Every cash register had a lot of umbrellas. Was it raining on Saturday? No. Why did they put more? I don't remember seeing so many umbrellas. Because they knew it was going to rain. Because they knew it was going to rain, they put lots of umbrellas. The fact it's going to rain for the next 4 days, that's the opportunity. The result is we put umbrellas, right? You don't say, oh, I have an ID. What's the ID? Oh, my ID is to put umbrellas by the cash register starting on Saturday. Oh, okay, well, we may as well put umbrellas. We've got umbrellas. Let's put umbrellas by the cash. No, you do it because there's the opportunity. Rain is an opportunity. If you say it's going to rain 6 inch in the next 5 days, 10 inch in the next 5 days, that's a fact. And the fact is what you need. So you know that because of facts, you make less mistake. Because of facts, you are more efficient. Versus IDs, it's just your ID, my ID, which one is the best? I don't know. But the facts, at least, are more correct. Yes, Matthew.
Are the threats the same way statistics that are threatening?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So the threat is the opposite. If it says after, for the next, so that's it. That's the end of the rain for the whole year. The next time it rains is in November 2024. Then you have the umbrella guy that call you, hey, Home Depot, do you want more umbrella? You say, no, I don't need more umbrella. Thank you. I got enough. It's like, but look, it's winter. Yeah, but the statistics say it's not going to rain. So that's the threat. Threat for buying more umbrellas. So you don't buy more umbrellas. You don't do anything with the umbrellas. You just hope someone comes and buy them because they don't know that it's not going to rain. Okay. So I see it's 5:15. I wanted you to really understand these opportunities because that's, if you do not find any opportunities, it's going to be close to impossible to do the project, because this project is about making business growth recommendation for Alexander of Oxnard. Therefore, you have to identify opportunities that are not just ideas that you just pull out of a magical hat. They have to be real things that they can spend money, invest, and believe on. Okay, so that's very important. At the end of the semester, if 90% understand that, that would be awesome, because that will put you in a better, safer position to become a more successful business person, because you're not going to be emotional about the decision that you make. You're going to be fact-based, non-emotional, but just fact-based. And you believe in the facts, and it's the facts that makes you make decisions, and it's not the feeling of the moment, the guessing of your emotions, or, it should not be that way. You should not be using a crystal ball in order to make decision. You should be using statistics from reliable sources in order to make decisions. Statistics are not 100%, so nothing is warranted, but with statistics, you can make better decisions. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right, so I don't mind staying a little bit. If anyone has questions, I will stay for the next 15, 20 minutes to answer some questions if you have any. Otherwise, I will save this video and post it on in Canvas and send you the link. You are welcome. I mean, the next week class is in class. This was
Thank you, Professor.
yes. Also, it's
Thank you,
assignment.
Professor.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Professor.
Don't forget pack back this week. This is the first one.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Professor.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Professor.
Try and see you in class next week. Don't forget pack back, which is due before Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Very easy. Look at the sample in the syllabus, and you should be fine.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Yes, au revoir. Yes, Alex, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, hey, so I had a question about like opportunities. So I just wanted to hear maybe a little bit more about your experiences with opportunities as fact-based,
Yes.
I guess opportunities, because sometimes we think of opportunities like, I guess not fact-based, right? Like more like ideas, like those are opportunities per se, but I can see what you mean as far as
Yes. So so then the students in there will be 50% of the students in mid-March that won't have anything, no opportunities, no good one, at least 50%. And they're going to come to me and say, we don't understand what we're supposed to do. We can't find any opportunities. Then I'm going to ask them, where have you looked? Well, we looked in the textbook. Textbook, you won't find any opportunities. Then I'm going to say, have you interviewed anyone? Have you discussed with anybody? Have you looked on other things beside Google search? And so they'd say, no, I haven't talked to anyone. Then I'm going to say the easiest thing, and Alex, this is answer to you. I'm not out subject. I'm going to say the easiest thing you can do, which everyone does, is start thinking in terms of IDs. But knowing that IDs are not opportunities. But what you do is you're going to try to massage your IDs into opportunities. So you're going to say, what if Alexander was selling cars online? Maybe the opportunities, they sell cars online. Well, be careful. That's an ID. It's not an opportunity. Yeah. Okay, so I'm only going to say IDs. What about the idea of selling cars online? Okay, but why would they do that? What's the fact? Okay. And then you come back a week after and say, we found some facts. Between 1999 and 2020, the number of cars being purchased online has increased by 300%. Is that a fact that helps us with the ID? Yeah.
yes.
So therefore, you say the ID and you write all your IDs. As long as you don't show me those IDs and tell me these IDs are opportunities, you're correct. I don't need to know. What you do is write all your IDs and then see if you have any facts, opportunities supporting them. So you reverse engineer. You know, like Chobani, let's go back. It's like, for example, I'm Chobani and I say, you know what, the yogurts are disgusting. Someone needs to make a good yogurt with good milk. Well, someone has to make good yogurt with good milk. That's an idea. And then I'll say, hey, Frank, have you done some research? And I'll say, what do you mean? Have you checked to see if there's anybody who also care with yogurt with good milk? And then, you know, I made this mistake 20 years ago. I worked on a project where I was trying to make French baked goods in America using top quality butter, because the worst butter in France is probably the best one in America. So I was thinking, hey, we can make better by just having better butter. And so I brought to the US one of the best butter from Europe, and I started making the baked goods with that. The butter was much more expensive. It was 3 times more expensive. People didn't see the difference between okay butter and amazing butter. So therefore, I was wasting the profit by doing that.
Right.
And so therefore I had to stop. It's, you know, they've done, and I can tell you now, they've done some research on vanilla, for example. If you give fake vanilla and real vanilla to people, people prefer the fake. The reason they prefer the fake is very few people actually add the real, and the real doesn't have the same taste. So they know the fake, and if they eat a pastry and there's fake vanilla inside, they're going to prefer it than the real vanilla. Yet, if you take a bunch of bakers and chefs, you know, like Las Vegas top chef, and you give them the fake vanilla baked good and the real vanilla baked good, they will prefer the real vanilla baked good. So then you're saying, am I making baked goods for chefs and top chefs in America, or am I making baked goods for everyone? If you're making it for everyone, don't use the real vanilla because they're not going to like it as much. So the problem here is it was, and the real vanilla was like 10 times more expensive. That was the biggest difference. So I made the mistake to assume my idea is I'm going to make a better baked good because I'm going to use real vanilla and the best butter. And this is it. That's my idea. What's the opportunity? Well, the opportunity is people prefer when things are better. Are you sure? Did you check? Then you, if I had checked, I would have saved myself a lot of times. I didn't check. I thought it was obvious. People prefer better. No. Mistake. So that's why you cannot trust that all your ideas are good. They are only good if they are supported by opportunities. And I know the students, oftentimes they say, okay, I've got lots of ideas. And then they write 12 ideas. And then they go start looking for the opportunity and they find, gee, of the 12, maybe there's one that can be supported by facts. And then they become very humble because they go, you're right. It's very difficult because you have to find the fact to support it. Imagine you present an idea and then you turn it into an opportunity. And you ask this person an investment of $2,000. They're going to look at the opportunity and say, oh, I think it's okay. But now you're asking them for $2 million, $20 million. Your opportunity is going to have to be very strong for them to pull $20 million to go with it. Nobody's going to give you $20 million for an idea. $20 million are given for opportunities. Opportunities are facts. Ideas is the only people that give you money for an idea are your best friends, your parents, brothers and sisters, wife, husband, right? The people that love you, they're like, oh, you know, I like you, Alex. Here, you need some money for your ID. But someone you don't know, unless they don't know what they're doing. I mean, there's always these people too. I've also met these people. I've had people invest some big amount of money in my business, and they didn't know what they were doing, and I took their money, you know, and they didn't check the facts, but they didn't know what they were doing, and so these people also exist. I'm not teaching the way of taking advantage of people that don't know. I'm teaching the way, in case which is the most common case, facing someone that know. And the bigger you ask, the more they get surrounded as well, because sometimes they don't know, but they get someone, you know, they have a business lawyer. Business lawyers, I mean, if they've been in business 10 years, being a business lawyer, they know. They know how to check things. They smell things. Accountants are the same. They can tell. And
they can tell if it's an opportunity or not. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because an accountant, I mean, an accountant is bone dry. It's going to say, okay, you want $1 million for what?
Right.
For an ID? Oh, my ID is that, you know, yeah, I've seen it so many times. Good accountants. Sometimes the thing with the accountants is they tend to be risk averse and are rather negative more than positive. They're not people that are positive. They are people that always look for the problems. And so but that's their job. And so there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate the knowledge on that.
Well, thank you for asking this question, because I think, you know, that's the hardest thing in business. Finding money easier. I don't know, coming up with a great idea easier. Everything is harder. It's like imagine a pyramid, and the thing that's the bit the small bit, the dot that is at the top of the pyramid is finding the opportunity. Everything
Right.
else becomes easier. And so that's what the experience, and that's why I would have Tigran. He says he's come in class, and I'm gonna say, they hear me and they tired of me saying what I'm just saying today. No, tell them. And he's gonna say, yeah, if you don't have an opportunity, you don't have nothing. And now he became a banker. It's even worse. Can you imagine? Maybe that's why he got the job. Because
Yeah.
they heard him and say, perfect, he understands. No fact, get out.
Right.
That's a banker talking. So actually, that's kind of funny. I'm going to ask him to explain why. If that helped him, he's going to say, yeah, banker, my God, they don't give you money easy.
Right.
Thank you, Alex, for your
Thank
question.
you.
What about
Thank you.
Johnny?
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Johnny, I think you have waited.
Yes, good evening, Professor. I just have a question for clarification about the FOLET and the packback. Do we need to pay for the packback? Are we being charged for it, or is it free?
The packback is the packback you pay through your tuition. So once you log in, it's going to be taken in your tuition. So,
Okay.
So it's going to be an extra $25, $27 or something like this.
So, because I was trying to follow up with your messages about the opt-out with the FOLET website, and it says it's $45 on the FOLET, and when I click on course material detail, it says under title Packback questions with Packback instructions custom, and it's $45, and it doesn't quite look like a textbook. But yeah, so I opted out for now because I don't think I need to pay for a textbook. I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah, Bright Wave I've never used before. That's the first time. And the reason I've never used is because you can because I'm making the textbook usable since 2014, the option of buying a book from 2014 is going to be $1, $2. I mean, I know some people found it for a price that everyone can afford. Everyone in the world, even the street person can afford the price. So cheap. And so that's what I've been recommending, but some students have requested for Bright Wave. So because it's available, I made it available. What's interesting too is the system is not working since the beginning. And the last email I got from this was at maybe 12 today, where they're working on the system. So the Bright Wave, it's going to be, now I'm finding out it's $45, which doesn't surprise me. It's not a required thing. You can find yourself a textbook for cents, dollars. That's the route I would go. Now, the packback, you have to get that. And that's a reason also why I'm okay with packback, because since I found a way for students to get the textbook for so cheap that this class is not an expensive material. At the end, you're probably going to be less than $30 or whatever. So, and the packback is something you have to get. And I believe is the same situation, which means it's when you register, it's inside your fees, your student fees.
Okay, because I see I have 10 days, it says, to opt back in. I'm opted out currently on the FOLET, and like I was mentioning, it says it's described as packback. So if I stay opted out, and I'll just pay for, like you're saying, the packback through my student tuition. But I just want to make sure if I'm okay. Currently, at the moment on FOLET website, I'm opted out.
Okay. So what happened is FOLET is probably the organization because they call themselves digital access as well. And if you look in the thing, it's going to say digital access at csun.edu. So FOLET is the organization that is managing the access to the textbook and to Packback. But if you go through Packback, that's the one that you are required to opt in. Then the other one, which is called Brightwave, that's the textbook. You don't have to opt in for this one. This is up to you. So if you opted out on Packback, you need to opt back in. Just make sure that it's the Packback that you are opting in, not the textbook. Right?
Okay. When I did try to log into Brightware, I think it's called, or I can't remember.
Brightwave.
Brightwave. It doesn't show a textbook, but the FOLET does. So I'll opt back in just in case because I know it's listed as Packback, but I haven't seen a textbook option.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's, I'm just.
Make sure it's not the textbook that you get.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Make sure it says Packback. Thank you for telling me this. Like I said, all of this is new, and they're trying to make it easier by having all of this digitalized and whatever. But as I can hear and see, it's not that simple. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hey,
Any other questions?
I've got a question.
Hi, Matthew.
I was wondering if seasonality in sales demand could be both an opportunity or a threat, depending on, let's say, February is 150% sales for cars,
Yes.
or May could be, 80%. Would that be listed in different? Okay,
so
cool.
you're absolutely correct. Seasonality is a strength. Sorry, an opportunity and a threat.
Great. Cool.
So that's, you're correct. And there's going to be a number of things like that. What happens then is you need to see if the company is good with seasonality. So if the company, for example, is maximizing seasonality, I mean, you could put it as an opportunity, but it doesn't do very good because we know they're good at it. But then, maybe you can still put it as a threat because there's seasons where they don't buy. So you put it as a threat because then you're going to offer some suggestion to what to do during those seasons. So should you put it in both? It should probably belong more to one than the other.
Sounds good. And those suggestions would those be in with the SWOT analysis, or would those be separate?
No, the suggestion of doing something is separate.
Okay,
because
cool.
remember, it's just facts. It's going to rain, it's not going to rain. Then you don't say, have more umbrella, have less umbrella. That's not inside the SWOT. The recommendation of Home Depot having more umbrella or not having any umbrella, it's in the strategy section, in the what to do section, which is in a different thing. This SWOT is just a Polaroid of the situation. People know your brand, Home Depot, weaknesses, they don't know you for umbrellas. Opportunity, it's going to rain a lot. Threats, I don't know what could be the threats for this. Threat. Well, it's not going to be forever. It's only seasonal, the rain. But say nothing else. Then, after this, if you look at the sample, you'll see there is the strategic section that comes right after that, after the T. You start talking about the strategies. And there you explain what they could do. And you refer to the opportunity based on the opportunity of you could do this, based on the opportunity of you could do that. So look at, I didn't do this today, I didn't have the time, but looking at the samples will save you some time. I actually posted, so the samples of past project.
I've got one of them, yeah.
Oh, okay, great. You have one of them. Perfect. Yeah, and if you printed it, it's good. That way you can really get into it much more than looking at it on the screen. That's a brilliant idea. Fantastic. Any other questions? Oh, it's good. I see Jennifer Villalpento there. That's awesome. Matthew. So I know we're probably going to know each other a lot more if you persist in being in the investor pitch. So that's very exciting. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I can.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask, in regards with like the investor pitch, have you been able to figure out when we'll be able to discuss that?
Well, I'm waiting for the fourth person.
Oh, okay, so you're
Maybe
just waiting on
today
the
I
fourth
have,
person.
yeah, I don't know if you were
Okay.
here at the beginning. I had names of the three people. You weren't
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at the beginning of the class, I had the name of the three, and then I have a question mark for the fourth. So I'm waiting for the fourth person. And
Yeah.
then I'll make an appointment. That way we'll all meet. It's the reality is it's very fun. The students have loved it, the one that have been part of it, but it takes someone that does want to work, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's like going to the gym and trying to coach a bunch of people that are tired. You know, it's like not as fun as a bunch of people that are energized and they're jumping on their feet. They're so excited to be coached. So that's
Yeah.
really where I am. And so with the people that really want to do it, then it's fun. It has always been fun. Like I said, this is my 17th year. And also what's really cool, since I have you, Matthew, and Jennifer here, is it's also really good to win a prize because you put it in your resume. And when you put, won or participated in the final, at least by participating, you can say that you participated in the final of the investor pitch of the Wells Fargo Center 2024. And I'm just telling you, not too many people have this kind of stuff. Young people have this kind of stuff in their resume, and that makes a good conversation, and it puts you in a different category.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm excited to hear more about it.
Yeah, you'll see it's. I mean, all I have to say is have you ever looked at Shark Tank, Jennifer?
Yes, yeah, I find it very interesting.
Okay, so if you find it interesting, that's going to be you in 2 months and a half.
Okay. Okay, sounds great.
Great.
Okay, thank you so much,
Okay,
Professor.
you're welcome. Have a good week, and I'll
You as
see you
well.
next Tuesday. Bye, everybody.